Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Real Huddle podcast. I am Maria.
I am Stephanie.
And I'm Millie.
We are so excited to be with you guys again, and we have a fun one for everybody. Okay. The other night, my husband and I are watching this show on Netflix called The Running Point, and I wanted to see if you guys have watched it, what you guys think, and I'd love to go into maybe a conversation about how relevant or similar it is to the life that we experience as cheerleaders.
I want to say that we are not afraid to get our palms dirty because we are telling the truth here and we're going to be dropping names and letting you know who was doing what. Okay. So if you're not prepared for that, keep it moving. You five, six,
Yes.
seven, eight, right on out of here.
Let's go. Welcome to the huddle. Welcome to the huddle. We here to talk about it. Ladies, let's go.
You brought this up, and I was like, okay, I need to check this show out because, first of all, I feel like I would really love it, and I love Kate Hudson and
Yeah.
love the topic. So I'm
Yes.
like, okay,
Yes.
gotta watch it. And specifically season two, um, episode 6, I believe.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes.
Where they are talking about the dancers and all the stuff that they go through and that whole episode. I feel like we really could relate to because a lot of that was going on whenever we were cheering and we like basically lived that. So the whole episode, I was like, oh my gosh, like I love this. Yes. And it's very accurate.
Yes. I watched Running Point as well, and I watched it last season, and then I didn't realize that a new season had come out. So
Oh,
when Maria
so
brought this
good.
up, I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm not gonna lie, been a little bit busy, but I jumped ahead. Let me just tell you, when the scene came up that she is walking through the parking lot, I literally
Oh, at
gasped
5
because I
a.m.
was, yeah, because I was like, because it just hit so close to home. And, it was like towards the beginning of the episode. So I didn't quite know what it was going to be about just yet. And I was just like, and then then it all came together. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
very similar.
What did you think about the whenever we cheered, I feel like we couldn't use social media to promote or we couldn't even have it really. What do you think about dancers or cheerleaders nowadays being able to use social media to expose their experiences and promote the team or themselves? Because we weren't able to do that.
Well, I want to lovingly say that when we were cheering, MySpace was still around. So,
Bless their hearts.
Well, you didn't have to say that.
so I don't know if it was being used as much as we use it now, but I do think that we had specific instructions on how social media needed to be used and how much of a representation we are of the organization, even on social media. And I remember specific conversations about anything that I would post. There was always someone, we didn't know who, or if it was the coach herself, that would look at what we posted. So we were always very cautious.
Mhm.
And whew, I couldn't even imagine trying to post something specific to what that girl posted, or Sophie, I think her name was, what she posted on her social media. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
social definitely changes the game. But let's back up a little bit. Let's just, in case someone hasn't watched Running Point, let's just tell them a little bit about what this episode was about. So basically, Kate Hudson is the owner of a basketball team with her family. So you explore all of the office dynamics that happens. A professional basketball team, of course, has dancers. And this particular episode just kind of chronicled a dancer that was, let's just say, unhappy with the working conditions. And she brought it to social media.
Mhm.
So, that's just like a very brief summary of what the episode in particular was about and a little bit about the show. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times I say, like, thank goodness social media was not such a big part of our lives back then, but I really do think that, they used it to their benefit. And
Mhm.
now social media kind of puts the magnifying glass on everything.
Mhm.
And people have to step up and be more responsible. So that is a reason I love social media. But a reason to, on the other side of things, there's a lot of scrutiny because you're never going to really please everybody,
Right.
right? So it's a double-edged sword. But in this case, it helped them. And, we did have a similar situation and we didn't use social media, right? Who wants to
Uh,
talk about that?
Since you brought
no,
it up, you can bring it.
Listen, I feel like I'm not super well versed to talk about that.
Ladies, let's go.
Just running through it, like we did not, when we first started, we did not get paid,
Mhm.
right? We did have perks.
Mhm.
We went to a nice gym to work out. So we weren't working out in a locker room that was like, I think in the episode it was like no heat or no heat
Oh
and a
yeah.
broken speaker. We had a sound system. We went to a nice gym and we could also use the gym. We had like a membership there. So that was a perk. We would have a salon where we would go and get our hair done, and whatever else we needed, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, brow wax or whatever it was, bikini waxes, whatever. What other perks? Oh, MAC was our
tanning.
makeup.
Mhm.
Yep, tanning. I think there was a discount for tanning, or was it free? I don't remember.
I think it was free. Maybe we just had a tipper because it
I
was
don't
like the
Okay.
remember.
personalized
I do remember for
custom.
the salon, we had five that we could utilize a year. So, similar to anyone
Good,
who's
yeah.
watched the Cowboys show, where they do have maybe a scene or an episode of the girls going into a salon and getting their hair assessed, and the professional kind of goes, "Oh, she can go blonde or redhead or whatever." Same thing we experienced in the NFL, or at least for the Bucks. But we had him where they were completely paid for. So we didn't have to pay for any coloring, any cut, any additional service that we would get with that specific salon. So that was a nice perk.
But we would get paid a small amount for games and some appearances. It
That was
That
was,
came
after.
later.
Mhm.
oh, by the time I got there, we were being paid
Yeah,
per
Marty and
game.
I were the suckers that would do it for free. So we
So,
mentioned the
yeah.
perks because like you could say that that was our payment, right? Like, but at the same time, the things that we were getting done was for our appearance to look the way that the Buccaneers wanted them to, right? So
Mhm.
You didn't
was
really
it
have a
really
choice.
payment? Right.
Well,
Not
so here,
really.
okay, let me ask you a question. So there was a scene in the episode where the dancers wanted, as far as benefits, they wanted insurance. Um, which there's some of the things that they asked for that were kind of funny, right, for the show, which is fine. But more specifically on like healthcare or insurance or anything like that, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Because we did not get any healthcare insurance.
Well, I think, and I don't know what the law is, but being in the industry that I am for my regular work, it's like you have to work a certain amount of hours per week in order to get health insurance to be eligible. So for a part-time job, you're not eligible to get paid the benefits that the company provides. So we probably didn't work enough hours, technically to be eligible for benefits. I know there's certain laws around it, but
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't get anything like that. I think you have to.
And I think we weren't considered employees, or were we? We were contract, right? So that was a way
Well, there was
around.
another, yeah.
Hmm.
I love that stuff has that other side of things, like from the corporate world. Um, I would have absolutely loved to have health insurance, right? Number one. Um, I think that my issue with the whole thing is that these organizations are so huge, and the disparity between how the players are treated and
Hmm.
how the staff for one, Buck Place is treated, right? That beautiful facility. I'm sure most people had health insurance there.
Mhm.
And then how a very integral part of the team is treated, which were the cheerleaders, right?
Mhm.
So that's my issue with it. Whatever legal logistics, I understand. But could you have been the team to set the example and to move forward and say, yes, of course, these women are part of our organization and they're just
Mhm.
as important as anybody else? Why not extend whatever it is before someone who is really brave came up and shed a light on this, like the
Mhm.
social media girl in Running Point? You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Why does it take that? There's plenty of both men and women in the organization that are already making these like astronomical amount of money, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Why not just do the right thing?
And the fact that we are so athletic and physical, and there's so much that it takes out of our body too, and the amount of hours that we put in, you would think that would probably be a given, but then again, here we are. But that just goes to show you, and we can't speak for NBA, NHL, like any of the other professional leagues. Um, and in fact, we may not even know everything that goes on with other NFL teams. This is just kind of our experience with the Bucks. But when we would meet with other teams, it seemed pretty similar across the board. So this is just kind of like our individual experience at the
Hmm.
time with the Buccaneers. Who knows how different it is now?
Right. What did you all think about the maternity leave topic? Like, to me, it's like not even a real, like, first of all, you're going to be pregnant for 9 months anyways. And how long is a season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little
We had one girl
bit of a
that
stretch.
was pregnant, right? Right? I think it was before I cheered, or maybe like my very first year,
But she wasn't
LS.
out there with a big belly, was
No.
she?
No, 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 no,
No.
not at all. But I'm saying, didn't she like leave to have a
Oh,
baby?
yeah.
So then that would have been her maternity leave, like when she left. And then
Right.
she did come back, right? But it was like years later.
But here's the thing, to me, and this is my personal opinion, I don't know if that would apply or be appropriate in our case, just because we have to try out every single year. So it's not like it's a given to you. And again, we
Right.
weren't employees of the organization, we were contractors. So, I think, I mean, yes, of course, that would be nice if I knew that by the time I had my baby and went on maternity leave, I can come back to the box, of course. But, it was never a given that we would make it back on.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that
that's
was
that's a
the
really good point.
that was the one I felt like was like I don't know if that's necessary because of all those things you just stated.
Yeah, that's a really good point about it's not guaranteed, your position's not guaranteed. Um, you know, yeah, I agree with Maria. Like, of course, that would have been great to have. Also, just personally, I wasn't having a baby during that time. That was like a before, but I think that it's totally fine if you want to stop and have your baby and have maternity leave.
Of
I guess
course.
I guess we're also saying here indirectly is that it's not like a serious job thing. I think that's the undertone that even we're saying, even if we don't mean it, because it's totally normal if you are an architect to go and have
Mhm.
your baby, have
Mhm.
maternity leave, and come back. But why not if you're a professional dancer for an NFL team?
Well,
Mhm.
because it's
So,
not a full-time job. They were
right.
I remember they did require all of us to either have jobs or be a student. So that's kind of
Mhm.
like, the requirement. So it's not a full-time thing. It's,
Yeah.
a part-time or contracting opportunity. And as a contractor for a company, like in my line of work, you don't get benefits. You don't get maternity leave or
Yeah.
even time off.
Ladies, let's go.
So, do you
Well,
guys remember how much we got paid per game when we
I
did finally get paid?
want to say it was 150.
Yep.
Okay. I
And then
thought
we
that was
But
got
just for
wait,
the
could we
captains.
two
have
free
been
I thought it was
tickets.
full-time employees?
75. Okay.
I remember
Could
150 by the time I got
I do
there.
remember 150.
So then it must have been 175 for the captains. It was a little bit more for the
Yes.
Okay.
captains, I remember.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, across, 10 games
Mm-hmm.
because 8 regular season, right? 2 preseason. I guess my point is we put in full-time amount of hours. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say for the practice and all that, we would have gotten paid. It doesn't matter for contract or, whatever. If we would have actually gotten paid like a decent salary, we
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't need to have a job.
Right. Right.
Right.
Very true. Very true. Well, and that's what I was going to ask. So as far as hours go, right? We have the practices that were twice a week, which what could be 2 to 3 hours each time. So that's 6 hours there. And
I
then
remember
you
4 hours.
4 hour nights.
I remember like 6 to 10, we were at the gym.
Okay, so we have 8 hours there, and then you would have the practice before the game. That's Saturday,
8 a.m.
8 a.m. to what?
The game started at 1, it would end at 4. We were out of there by 4:30 or 5, right?
No, but remember, we would still have practices on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just saying game day.
Oh, and
Game day
then
was
there's
like
game
8 to
day.
5. That's a
Hmm.
full 8-hour day. And
Hmm.
then I'm sorry, what was the Saturday? I don't remember, like a
It's like 4 hours, I
4 hours.
want
9
to
to noon or
say. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, 24, 30 hours a week
Hmm.
Plus appearances,
Plus
plus
appearances.
appearances.
plus getting yourself to the salon to make sure your hair was nice and tight for game day.
Yeah. So we put in a lot of hours,
Yeah.
but it was also something that we love to do. And like personally, like I wanted to do it and it didn't matter how much I got paid at the time.
You know, a lot of times we are considered the background entertainment from the players. And there was even a point in the episode where I think Kate Hudson makes a joke and says, I mean, yeah, they're great dancers, they're amazing while people are checking their phones and going to the bathroom. So we are seen as that background entertainment. So I'm curious what you guys thought of that joke or that piece of the episode.
Ladies, let's go.
I mean, I go to watch the dancers and the cheerleaders. I don't know why everyone else goes.
Fact, fact. I'm like,
Fact.
who's playing? Let me see the girls. What sport
100%.
is this? Does hockey have cheerleaders?
Yeah, so I think her point was that's why like that is why a lot of people go is to watch the team play, and some of them do consider the dancers or cheerleaders as that, but not everybody.
Hmm.
I
And
did
I
I
think,
didn't like the joke.
oh, go ahead.
I didn't like the joke when she said it, but I know it to be true
Right.
because of course
Mhm.
that is the time that you would probably go. But also they missed them when they weren't there. So
Hmm.
even though you
Hmm.
would go to the bathroom and do whatever, when it's not there, you miss it. So
Yeah.
And I think people are missing the fact that, and not to toot our own horn,
toot
but I
toot.
think people are missing the fact that, we were brand ambassadors. We represented the organization as a whole. And so when we would go to those appearances and community events, I feel like people got excited to see us. Like people were happy to see us in more cases than not, and I think that just speaks to the brand as a whole. Of course, if the players showed up, would people get excited about that? Absolutely, but I think we had somewhat of a good reaction um to people seeing us too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think
Mm.
that's a piece of it. Okay.
There was like a celebrity culture almost, right? Associated with it. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Still to this day, people will send me pictures. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Da, 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 da. Like someone sent me a picture of us at Burn's Steakhouse in Tampa, literally like 2 weeks ago in cheerleading
Funny.
uniforms. I was like, what were we doing there?
Good question. Not
Probably
eating.
getting free food.
Right. Stealing the fries off the place. Do they serve fries there? I don't know.
Um, There's a part of the episode which I was like, oof, if we would have done that, God help us all. There was a part of the episode where there was an activist, and a lawyer that I guess saw one of the clips from Sophie or the dancers that was posted. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to represent the dancer. So there was a part of the episode where she then became the lawyer representing the dance team.
Hmm.
So that was very interesting to me. I'm curious what you guys thought.
Yeah, no, I feel like she believed in their like mission and like she supported them. So that's why she wanted to do it. Um, and I love, in the end, like how it all wraps up, but I just think that she got it and she understood where they were coming from.
I loved it too. I love that they had that support, like that legal support as well. Not gonna lie, I got a little bit scared because I was thinking of, or like not scared, but like a little bit of PTSD because I remembered that time throughout Bucks where there were girls that were like, we're standing up for ourselves and we're fighting for this. And there were some of us girls that were like, I'm really scared of this authority, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember that conflict and it kind of brought me there, even though for the show, obviously I had no skin in the game. Um, but it brought me back to that situation. And there was some polarizing opposite views. People were really scared. I'm not going to say people. I was really scared of what was going to happen to us because we had invested so much. Like Stephanie says, we absolutely love it. But I knew in my heart and in my head, you could absolutely love your job and get paid for it. Like we're no different than an accountant or whatever, the male people. Like we should just get paid for what we do and
So
love
what
it.
you're saying is you wouldn't have been a part of the group that went out on the field and pulled their jacket off with a big strike across your,
I mean, they
shirt.
made it look so fun and glamorous, yeah, for the TV show, but in real life, I was scared shitless. Okay? I was
Yeah,
scared. I did
I was
finally
too.
speak up and I was interviewed and I did speak up. So I'm thankful that, you know, I had the balls to say it at the end. But
Yeah, I don't know if
yeah.
I could have done that. I got the same feeling whenever they went out there. I was like, like I don't think I could.
Well, what's interesting is that she was the representative for the team, where I don't think that's probably a true depiction of what other teams would experience. Like, I think it would be maybe all the team captains, like all four of you guys, or,
Mhm,
it just wouldn't be one person, I don't think,
mhm.
which obviously this is a show, so we know it's not entirely true, either though it does kind of, I think it, isn't it based off of the LA Lakers, I think, maybe.
Oh, I didn't know.
Um, yeah, I think it's based off of that. But anyway, so I would agree, actually. I think I was always very nervous to speak up. I think it's because there was a piece of it that was a little bit of the fear factor. Whenever you would say something, you would get in trouble. So there was that fear element to it. Um, Obviously, our conditions in our environment was not at all close to what she was depicting. We did have mirrors. We did have, a nice setup. We did have perks. We did have security in some instances. So I think it's a little different, and that was probably the extreme of it. But I do feel like everything that happened after the fact with all the lawsuits and stuff and wanting to get paid more, do you guys feel like what people say, you knew what you were getting yourself into?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's good and they should get paid and I like how it's all kind of come to light now and I love this episode. Um but in the end I would have done it regardless. Although I do feel like,
Mhm.
you should be paid what you're worth and I feel like we're worth more than that.
Mhm.
I agree with that. I think both things can be true. On paper, we knew exactly what we were getting into. I will say it feels a little bit different when you're physically doing something that they're like, hey, this is what it's going to be. And then you're actually doing it and you're like, oh, okay,
Right.
good, bad, or indifferent. That feels different. But the other thing can be true too. I loved what I was doing. I knew what I was getting into, and I should also get paid.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's that. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Towards the end, they ended up getting what they wanted. There was a cute little scene where Kate Hudson danced with
So
the
Oh my
cute.
teams right
gosh.
away.
That was my favorite.
So cute.
She's got some moves. I
Yes,
was
that
like,
was so
wow,
good. I was
go
very
girl.
impressed.
Hmm.
It was
Me too. I
very good.
think
Yeah,
my
she did
eyes
a great
watered a
job.
little bit during that part.
Ladies, let's go.
But so as a part of what they got, they had the new room that had the Sephora sponsorship. Like maybe that was I feel like that was a really cool way to not necessarily like pay out the dancers, but it was really cool to have a brand that was behind the dancers. I think that might have been a really missed opportunity for us that we could have had something similar to that, like they had with Sephora.
Yeah, no, that was great. And we did have, like you said, supporters like Mac. We got, makeup and stuff and I think a discount. But yeah, no, like I love that they did the whole room like that and gave them all the stuff. Like that was cool. And I love the like sponsorship because then they get exposure too, you know.
Yeah, are you saying, Mari, that they could have, like, Mac could have leaned in a little harder? Because I felt
Yeah.
like they were our sponsor. They didn't do the room, but I, I feel like we got a good amount of makeup. Was it a discount that we got, or did we all get? Oh, you
No.
know what? It was when we got our travel bags and things. There were always like little Mac goodies in there. I was like, I
Mhm.
feel like we got free makeup somehow.
And we got a
Um,
discount, but
yeah.
yeah.
And absolutely, it can be notoriety for them too, because I remember a lot of the artists that would come up, like we would have to sign up for the makeup artist. They took like three people, and then we would sign up for either having our makeup done or our hair done for game day. And there were like a couple slots and a couple of each. And I remember that we became really good friends with them because sometimes they would travel with us if we had
Yes.
calendar shoots and our uniform shoots and all of that. So it's still a relationship like that
Yeah.
we keep. I still talk to Jane. She's all the way up in New York. She has a hair salon and all that kind of stuff. So it was a really great relationship. But yeah, maybe they could have leaned in a little bit harder because then that would have not put so much pressure maybe on the Buccaneers. And
Hmm.
then they could have like gone to another company that also has an immense amount of money
Yeah.
to treat these people that we love and care about and are important to our business. Our business. Let's treat them really well.
Right.
Because
Agreed.
there is that like underwriter piece of it, right? So like how much does it cost to have the cheerleaders and everything that comes along with that? If you had a sponsor like Mac or Sephora that would underwrite the costs and help maybe
Yeah.
pay a little bit more to the cheerleader so that it didn't fully come
Yeah.
out of the Bucks, budget, then that probably would have been really helpful. So anything else that you guys took out of the episode that you loved, that you didn't, that we didn't talk about?
It was so good. The
It
ending
was.
was spot on. Um, I love the courage that is shown in the dancer. Earlier when you were talking about something, Mari, about like, would you have been the one
Oh,
to, you know, or be in that group? I think our team also had this mentality of all of us against them almost, like we were very close as a team, even if we had like little pockets of groups of people that we would hang out more. I'm going to change my answer that if it was all of us, like all 28 of us saying, yeah, then of course I would have been out there. But if it's like three and 25 around here, oh yeah, I'm going to be like, ah, but you go, girl. Such a
Yeah,
chicken shit back then.
I'll be cheering for you on the back end. You go do
I
you,
hope we
girl.
get it. Like when you
totally.
see a cute guy and like you want your friend to go talk to them, but not you. You know what I mean? It's like it's one
Yeah,
of those things. But
Totally.
it was.
Lesson learned. And thank goodness we had some of those girls that really were courageous, like honestly fierce and courageous. So,
Yeah. And there's a lot of amazing things that came out of that. Like I know Stephanie said early on in a previous episode that, she got connected through her job now and it's grown to what she has today. And, we've had other opportunities that have come out of it. We did get tickets to the games and families can come see us for free. And there were so many things that we're not talking about that we did get that were perks that were absolutely wonderful. But I think it's also okay to talk about, the shoulda, coulda, woulda's of our experience. Um, but I think overall it was really cute. I think it touched on it perfectly. Like it even made light of some of the more serious parts of it, but you were able to give a good laugh in some cases. That show is hilarious just in general, but
Yeah.
all right. Well, yay. I'm so excited that we were able to all talk about the episode. It was so fun. Thank you guys for joining us and chatting with us. Don't forget to leave comments or questions below. And if you want to chat with us, just email us at therealhuddlepodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.